Hello, and welcome to Rise and Thrive, Indigenous Art, Culture, and Joyful Acts of Resistance. My name is Tailinh Agoyo, and I am here with a very special guest today, Colleen Farwell, who is the author and publisher of a very special children's book called I Will Carry You. Welcome, Colleen. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
I want to get right to it because we could talk forever, but I want to talk about, can you just give us a basic, well, actually, maybe you should just introduce yourself a bit and then we can jump into the book.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I am an Indigenous author. I was born and raised in Montana on the Crow Reservation, on a cattle ranch in the Wolf Mountains. I traveled to New Hampshire for college and met through a friend at college who was Mohawk. She brought me home for the weekend and met the father of my 6 children. So now I am here in the land of the Mohawk in upstate New York, and we have snow today.
Beautiful. It's snowing. Wow.
Well, it's not snowing, but it snowed last night. It's still there. I don't like it, but
Amazing.
I'm ready for spring. So yes, mom Crow. My children are both Crow and Mohawk. So around here they call them the Crowhawks.
That's fabulous. I love it. Um, Tell me about how the book came to be because we had talked and you had told me a long time ago that you've had this poem with you for a very long time. So do you want to start by sharing how the poem came to be,
Yes, the
and
poem.
the timing of all of it?
Yes, this was. I wrote this poem probably 19 years ago. Um, I was just out of college, and there was a local library looking for someone to come in and do work with children. And I had done a lot of creative writing in college, so my brain was in the creative writing mode. And they asked for a writing sample, and I was like, I've never written anything for children. And so I sat down and I just thought about my kids, and I thought about, what it means to be a mom. And out came this poem, and it was just beautiful. So I called my great friend, Navajo author Daryl Begay, and I said, Daryl, I have to read this. I have to turn this in. I need to know what you think. So I read him the poem, and he's like, that is beautiful, but girl, they need to know you can write for grants. Which was just hilarious. Like, of course they do, right? But it was just so funny. And then I just had
Right,
this
right.
work, and I put it away, and I knew that it needed to be in the world because it's beautiful, but I think that I always knew I didn't want to let go of the creative process. So when you turn it over to a house, you don't have say over your illustrations, and you don't have say over the final product. And as life has evolved, and publishing has evolved, especially for self-publishers, um, the opportunities, I think, just opened up more. Um, and then we had our meeting in Santa Fe. We hadn't seen each other in
Yes,
years. And I
yes.
confided it to you, and you were just like, this has to be in the world, and through your media company, you were able to get the illustrators in, because we went through a few. We kind of had some test freezes with the illustrators before you found Eleanor. And so this has just been a years long process, but it has definitely been worth the wait. It's just absolutely gorgeous, and I couldn't be happier.
It's so beautiful, and it's been my honor and privilege to work on this with you. I mean, this has been an incredible journey. And one special thing about the book, and and actually, Colleen's going to do a reading in a little bit, but one special thing about the book is that it incorporates the artwork of 6 Indigenous artists. Do you want to talk about um, what inspired that and how it reflects on the significance and the meaning of the book?
Yes, I think that as we were going along, and as we were thinking about the illustrations and how we really wanted it to reflect Indigenous motherhood. But people have very pigeonholed, I think, ideas of what that looks like. And, for us, people forget that we are everywhere in the world. We're in cities, and we are doctors, and we are educators, and we are all of these things. We are clan mothers. We are all of these things.
Hmm.
And so, as we were putting the book together, it became really important to, I wanted to pull in elements of our contemporary lifestyle. Um, and so, through all of our talks, it just became apparent that, when we talked about mom style, and then, looking at Akhenaten, who's doing these amazing, and we're like, he has to be a part of this. Should he
Hmm.
accept? And he and
Hmm.
Chin, whose jewelry I have just admired forever. I have on a necklace of his right now. But to bring in those elements and the beauty of our everyday culture, and people look at it and they don't even realize what they're looking at. And that's, to me, that's just surprising. They're like, oh, I never really realized. So that became just very, very important, because we have so many contemporary artists and so many contemporary designers and so much to offer,
Hmm.
I think, the world. And so to be
Right.
able to see it in this setting, especially, is just so beautiful. And
I
so I'm
think you,
grateful for everyone who signed on.
yes, I think you make a good point where when you read the book, and everyone check it out. It's right now, it's on Amazon. It's called I Will Carry You. And you can see some of the illustrations on there, or on the website, I will carry you childrensbook.com. But to your point, that when you read the book, it's a universal story. And, in a, especially in the past, things are changing now, which is wonderful. But especially in the past, um, a lot of like so-called Native American books would be either very stereotypical, or really hitting the audience over the head, like, these are Native Americans, these are Native Americans, and this story is about a mom's love for her child, and there are um, beautiful artwork is incorporated, and mom and baby are Native, but it's telling a universal story. It's not putting Native people into backing us into a corner. And that's what's very special about this book.
Yes, and that's one thing that I really wanted to portray in the book. And I think, like you said, a lot of people want to view us really, and unfortunately, as a dead culture. It kind of goes back into that. I mean, we could talk about history, which would be a whole nother story, but you know how Native people have always been stripped of everything, of identity, of land, of even of motherhood. If you look back in the 70s, when Indian Health Service hospitals were forcing sterilization on women and not telling them, and thousands of women, and some of them under the age of 21. So it's always been about the destruction of our culture, and the lessening of the power of motherhood, which is so important in Native culture. The women carry everything. They carry children, they carry life. Um, so we aren't a dead culture. And so to give that kind of vibrancy into the book, that, what, we're still here and we're still surviving, and there's something beautiful and universal about motherhood. It's not held to one culture. It is universal, and the power of it is universal. And so to be able to put that out in such a beautiful setting in this book was really, I think, the goal. And to see it come to fruition has been really amazing.
I mean, the book is stunning. So definitely check out the website. Those illustrations are beautiful. And Eleanor Grosh was your illustrator, but you did have a process.
Right.
And we did work with several different fantastic artists, and until you found what was the right fit. I mean, each artist was special in their own way, but there was a vision that you had that Eleanor just kind of captured. And once we met with Eleanor, it just made sense, and it filled your vision. Do you want to talk about that process, because it's an interesting thing, because you have a final product, but it had so many layers and steps, and every single person involved was part of that. It's not
Yeah.
just what the audience is seeing, but it's the book has its own life because it's been 4 or 5 years and it's been many beautiful Native artists involved.
Yes. So, yeah, we started out, with we had 3 illustrators that we tested, I guess, before Eleanor. Um, and as you're going through the process, and if I could talk about Star Hardridge, I would really like that. He uh we we reached out to him because I just his art is just stunning and amazing,
Hmm.
and it just takes my breath away. And he agreed to do this for us and actually sent us samples. And it became very clear, which is really interesting, when you're publishing and you're doing a complete project. um, it became very clear that his work, if you put his work in this book, you would never hear or see the words because his work is
Hmm.
so powerful. And that really struck me. There's a balance that has to be had, I think, when you're doing a project. And it was e- to not do this project with Star was very I don't know the words, but also that realization of how powerful his work is was beautiful. You think you can just take all of this beautiful
Right.
stuff and he's so
Hmm.
gorgeous, and then these words, but there wasn't a balance,
Hmm.
where Eleanor, she kind of captured that kind of what is the word I'm looking for? Uh, Motherhood in a
There's
way that's very I want to use the word
it
magical, but
like
it's
it's a little, maybe a bit. It is magical, but whimsical in a
yes,
very subtle way, and flowery and flowy and uh,
yes.
graceful. Whereas Star's work is it's definitely graceful, but it has a punch to it.
Yeah, it's like, yes, it's just overwhelming. It's just everything. When you see it, it's like that's what you see. There's not
Hmm.
it's hard to tie lyrics, right? To
Hmm.
work.
Hmm.
It's very it's just at a different kind of depth, I think, than what you
Hmm.
put to a children's poem. So
Right.
process just was so fulfilling to me and so amazing, and I met so many great people. And then to find Eleanor, and in the beginning, Eleanor had sent a couple samples and we're like, is this really going to work? And then we just talked to her and she just got it. Like, she just got, when we said, okay, this part really isn't working, we
Hmm.
want the natural elements. Native people are very tied to nature. And then we had the leaves and the butterflies and the bees and, like,
And mom's hair.
mom's hair, even
Yeah.
those small, subtle things. And she just brought, like, magic and this universal um, motherhood into the story
Hmm.
that we wanted to capture with the words. So that was just great. That was an incredible process. And I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah. She was wonderful to work with. w- can you talk about, so after the book was published and you've been going around and doing some readings, and you were at Penn Museum and you did a reading there, and you have, well, before the pandemic you had a lot of other things scheduled which will probably be rescheduled for fall or next year. But what is it, the reception been like when you're out around the country meeting people and they're seeing your book? I know you were at Seeds in Santa Fe and you read the book and you had some museum folks come up, and there have been some really interesting experiences you've had, because this book is so fresh and really it's like nothing that's ever been done before. So can you talk about how it's been received, just by general public, but also by art professionals?
It's been very well received, and it's been a very moving process, honestly. It meant so much to me, and it just spoke to everything I feel about my children, and about motherhood, and about the power of moms, and my mom and my grandmother and that whole history. And so the first time I read it, we didn't have it. It was Seeds. 2018. So we didn't have the book in hands, and the project was in the works. And so I recited it uh, at Seeds, and I'll never forget. I got off the stage, and a woman met me, and she was crying, and she said, I just want you to know how much I appreciate this. And my daughter just called me this morning, and her marriage is not working out. And you are right. Mothers always carry their children. Like, and she was like, and just thank you for giving this to me. And I'm never going to put her down. She's a grown woman, and her marriage is ending, and I carry her. And then she made me cry.
Mhm. Yes.
But that is just the
Yeah. That's very
universal,
touching.
like, response. It's just, a mother never puts her baby down, never. And you carry them all through your life. Um, and when people hear this, I can't tell you the number of people have cried when I've read it to them. My girlfriend here, um, she's one of the Alex Thompson. She's one of the women that really stuck in my mind when I thought about mom and who mom would be, because she's an incredible mom. And there's every day she finds the joy and the beauty in motherhood. And she's just a beautiful person. So I recited it to her and her husband, not at the time, but they were together, Garrett. And she told me later, she's like, Garrett had to leave because he was all teared up and he was going to cry. And I was like,
Wow.
oh my, so for even for dads, and I've had feedback from fathers. It's just been amazing. The one gentleman said that they just sat in their car and read it and cried
Yes.
as a family. And so, it's just been so well received. And then, the debut of Seeds with the book, when we had the book and it was ready and we did a limited edition, I had a gentleman come over who was all business. And, I was trying to explain because the limited editions were a little more expensive. And I wanted everyone to know in a few months it's going to be on Amazon. So it's $17.95. The ones here are 30 because a small print is very expensive to print. And
Hmm.
he was all business. He just kind of like, okay, like kind of pushing me through my little spiel. And then so I said, okay, I'm going to sign it. Do you want it written out to anyone? And he's like, yes, to the Heard Museum. And that, I'm sitting in my chair writing to
Right.
the Heard Museum. And that was just
Amazing.
beautiful. And
Hmm.
not only is the poem beautiful, and not only am I an Indigenous author, but having this collaboration with all of these Indigenous artists has been it just takes it to another level. It
Right.
really does. It just
Hmm.
elevated, um, it's elevated the story, it's elevated the beauty of the illustrations. It's just gorgeous. And we've had just such amazing feedback. And I can't wait to get back on the road again. I know we're all stuck in our houses, which is, the safe and good thing. But it'll be nice when we can get it back on the road again and
Yes.
start going into the bookstores, and because it's just been so well received.
Yes. And isn't it? It's at the Mokna Museum in Santa Fe right now.
Yes.
Um, it's at a book. Where's you said there is a bookstore in upstate New York where it
Yes. Or
is?
at the Brewer bookstore at St. Lawrence University,
Okay.
which is
Um,
just a gorgeous, gorgeous bookstore. I'm so happy about that. And then we are also going into the Lake Placid bookstore. They accepted it in Lake Placid, New York, but with the pandemic, we're just going to wait. We're going to wait to go up there and do all of that once
right.
done.
Yeah. I know you have a long list of stores that everything is kind of on hold, but people are ready to order.
Yeah.
Um, and that information is on the website if you have a small bookstore and are interested in carrying the book. It again is called I Will Carry You, and the website's iwillcarryouchildrensbook.com. We're going to take a little break, and when we come back, Colleen is going to read from I Will Carry You, and then um, we'll talk about life now and and how things are going in family and all kinds of great things. Colleen, I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
It's nice to see you and talk together live, sort
Right?
of on Zoom. Yeah. And it's really beautiful to be able to talk about this book, and just I have it here next to me, and just to keep looking at that, it feels safe, and um, it just feels wonderful to see, especially life feels so uncertain now, and having this book right here with me just feels pretty great. So I'm excited for when we come back.
Fabulous.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
Back. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tailinh Agoyo with Rise and Thrive, Indigenous Art, Culture, and Joyful Acts of Resistance. I'm here with Indigenous author and publisher, Colleen Farwell, who happens to be a very wonderful friend of mine. And we are talking about her book, I Will Carry You. And for this section of the show, I'd really love Colleen to read from I Will Carry You, actually read the entire book. That would be beautiful. And then we can chat more about it after.
Okay.
Are you up for it?
Yes, I am. I think.
Get your tissues ready, everybody.
I should have did practice before I got on. So I just want to let people know that the book is the first. It's a poem, as many children's books are, and the first stanza of the book is the little one talking to mom, and then the rest of the book is mom talking to the little one. So here we go. I will carry you. Mommy, will you carry me when we go out to play, and tell me just one story as we walk along the way? Little one, I will carry you so gently on my hip. I will hold you a little tighter should you begin to slip. So put your head against my shoulder. Hear these words I say. This is the story of how I will carry you on this and every day. Before you were born, I carried you. Deep inside, you came to be. Your arms, your legs, your heart, your eyes that would soon see. When you came into this world, I carried you in my arms. You were much too small for walking. I kept you safe from harm. As a little baby, you grew so very fast. I carried you upon my shoulders just to hear you laugh. Today, you're getting bigger. I carry you on my hip. I hold you a little tighter when you begin to flip. Soon, you will be older. I'll carry your hand in mine. I'll walk you to the bus. I'll stand with you in line. And when you're even older and think that I don't understand, then I'll carry you against my shoulder. I'll be your biggest fan. And someday, when you're all grown up and you can stay to play, then I will carry you inside my heart, even when you're far away.
Oh, so beautiful. I'm trying to show this for our YouTube viewers because the poem itself is stunning, but when matched with the illustrations, it's just over the top. It's so beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, yes, you're welcome.
I wanted this page here, the last page has your bio, but it also has information about the artists that are in the book. Why
Correct.
did you decide that you wanted to have this in the back? And then also, I wanted to talk about the end pages where Akhenaten designed.
Well, I
Um,
think a lot of it had to do with the fact that, like I said, in the contemporary world, people don't really realize, like, they're expecting one thing, right? So I'm going to go to the page, since we are on YouTube, where baby, we call her baby, but she's grown up, and she has the sneakers on. So,
mhm,
and they're beaded, and unless unless someone's telling you, you might miss that because it's just a subtle part of her being, right? It's not, she's not, I think the way people stereotype like what a young
mhm,
American girl would look like.
mhm.
So it was very important to me to put that in the back, to be able to say, okay, Akhenaten did the butterfly mom's dress design. Chin did the jewelry. Katie Eisenach
Listen up. Mhm,
Taylor did the shoes. To say, Summer Peters did the baby blankets and that design. To be able to point that out to people who might have just missed it, to
yes.
think, oh, that's just beautiful, without
Right.
realizing that this is connected to an artist, um,
Right.
and someone who's doing this in real life and in real time. So that was very important, and I love it. I just love it.
I love the idea of that because not, they're creators and makers, but they're professional artists, and
Yeah.
they have websites and they're selling their work, and that's how they earn a living. So I love the fact that yes, what they've created in your book is something very beautiful, but also you're elevating, you're helping to lift them in the professional sense as well, because it's another avenue for them to get their work out into the world. So that's
Yes.
really special.
Yes, and also, I mean, that was important to me because I feel that they elevated the book.
Right, right.
So
I
it's like
know.
we
Yes,
are helping each other. Like, this
exactly.
just took it to the next level. So to be able to
Exactly.
see not just thank you, but an acknowledgement in the back, because if people see this work and they want to, they're like, I would love that. The necklace that mom has when she's holding baby, that she's so gorgeous, and to be able to go and find that,
Mhm.
to see the beaded sneakers and be like, where could I get that in the real
Mhm.
world? And it's just right there. There you go.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that was great to be able to connect people with that work as well.
Right. I just want to talk about, take this chance to talk about how, you're very close to your family. Your kids are home with you now because we're all in quarantine. How has your life shifted? Because, you are, for the audience, not only an incredibly creative person and an author, but you also run your own business. So you're usually flying all over the place, and in addition to the book stuff, doing other things. And now you're home and you're with your kids and they're doing school and you're working your garden. And how has life shifted, and what have you found? I mean, for me, I found that this is it's been very challenging, but it also, there's some there's beauty peeking through that we just have to tap into. And I'm just wondering what your experience has been this past month and how you see it changing you going forward.
Um, very. I'm going to touch first on the overwhelming because
Yeah.
I think a while ago, about a year ago, my mom got really sick, and it was just so overwhelming for me. And every day, that's what's in your thought, and what can you do, and how can we get out of this, and how do we make it better, and you know, and I'm realizing this pandemic, it's everyone I know. So I wake up with that fear every day, and it's not just my mom who's better now, thank goodness, but my brother and my sister and my siblings and my friends and their extended families, and you just kind of wait every day with this dread, like, is it going to hit us? And then especially for our native communities, because our elders carry all of and it's intriguing, about healthcare. We all should have healthcare for sure.
Hmm.
So all of those things are interesting. And then you even take a step further back and you look at LA with the blue sky. And we were just there. We lived in Arizona for 2 years. um, and would drive over to LA. We went over twice, and you drive in and it's just this smoggy mess. And now you see the pictures, and just in these few weeks, everything looks more beautiful. And people are on Twitter posting in these huge cities all over the world, like the goats with the big horns are like running through the streets and the animals, and and you think how and we've talked about this, how a lot of times you equate spiritual with things like meditation, with calm, with and somehow in all of this chaos, there is something very, very spiritual going on. So that's been intriguing to me. And I want to take time with that, you know, to think about that. Like here we are in this massive chaotic situation where there's so much upheaval, and yet something very spiritual is going on, for sure.
And you see that in your own home, and then you see that in your family and in the greater world, right? I agree with you. I see that too. And it's it's a roller coaster though, because it's so easy to jump into the negative or the panic, or how much hardship there is now because of all these extra things that we have to do in our daily lives, plus work,
Mhm.
plus be present, and make sure that everything's handled. Um, but yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. But no, I agree with you. But I think, yeah. So talk about how that um, kind of resonates into your daily life. Um, when you wake up, and what do you we had actually talked about these crazy dreams, and I know a lot of people are having these very vivid dreams where people from the past are coming up, or unresolved issues, and that's very telling to me that globally we're all doing this. It's this collective unconscious thing happening. But then how do you, once you wake up from that, and if it was not as comfortable, how do you kind of flip it so that you can get through your day,
I think,
and
oh,
yeah, and be creative, and continue on and be present for your children?
well, I think, the interesting thing, and I've been seeing this too with the dreams, like it's all, people are just, they're writing articles, you see it on Twitter, you see it everywhere. This kind of collective consciousness that's going on. And I think, it does have to do with the fear, but also, for Crow people, for Native people, your dreams are very important. So to be able to kind of tap into that, like the other day I had a dream that my backyard was like this ocean, and it was so calm, and it was so blue, and it was so gorgeous. And one of my sons and his friend were in it, and he's 14, and they kept going like further out. But then I knew at one point, and this is the Bighorn Canyon in Montana, we have areas where it just drops, and it's like 3 miles. It just goes straight, like down, 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 down. And I knew they were getting to that point, and I was so afraid. But then I was like, in my dream, I was like, but they can't touch the ground where they are now. So why does it really matter if it just falls out? And I
Mm,
just think, you know, it's like these levels of danger is kind of what I took out of it. Like
mm,
right now, we're all in this sense of like danger, and always worrying about, social distancing, making sure that we're safe. But then, you could just make one mistake that makes it so much more unsafe, I think. And I think people are kind of getting frustrated and like, I just want to go see my friend. But you know what? Don't just go see your friend. Like, we're almost there. Let's get the curve down. Like,
uh-huh.
like but there are like different, like every day we're being safer, 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 but there's still like a lot of risk out there. And so that dream was interesting. But I mean, we're just dealing with all kinds. I'm watching like what people are dreaming about, what's going on, and it's really interesting. It's
It
very
is.
interesting. And then, as far as like the day-to-day stuff, I mean, some days are harder than others, but also it's really great having my children here. And I love how, we're all stuck. They're doing school, I'm doing work, we're still trying to do meals. And then you when you spend every minute of every day together, where it used to be like allocated, you go to
Hmm.
mom goes to work, I go to,
Right.
and now we're all here.
Right.
You see this like beautiful things about
Yeah.
family that you just, like they just surprise you, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Like, who knew? I was my boys the other day. I was doing the groceries. They came, they delivered them, and then I had to bring some stuff in. So I'm sterilizing, and it's a whole process. And then all of a sudden, out of my son's room comes this Lionel Richie, like Easy on a Sunday morning. Walk back there. I'm so
Amazing.
stunned. Like, how does my 14 and 12-year-old, they didn't even know the song. So I like creep back to their door because I don't want to startle them because I'm so surprised. And they're both like singing.
It's beautiful.
And I'm like, normally they would be at school, they would come home, it would be schoolwork, it would be dinner, everything
Right.
regimented. And now we just get to have this like beautiful, constant interacting, and you find your kids surprise you. They listen to Lionel Richie.
Yeah, and there's this space, there's this ease, for them especially. I think for my kids, it has been a shift for school, but also not to have such a rigid schedule has opened it up. My son is playing music, and
Yes.
there's just other things that have opened up that they haven't been able to do before because their schedules were so busy. So to be able to tap into that beauty and allow that to flow and happen is something I always have to remind myself, because I revert back to the old way. But going forward, I think it'll be important to
Well,
really keep that balance.
and I think that is a big question, is going to be, especially as a collective, as a community, as a country, as a world, how are we going to go forward from here? What is important? Is it taking our kids to Disneyland? Is it doing these things? Or is there something more,
Mhm.
more important? And I don't mean to, I don't mean to diss Disneyland, but I just mean we have these social constructs of what it means to be a parent or what it means to love
A
your
good parent, right?
a good parent. And I think, in the midst of all of this, there's really room for a shift. What is
Right.
important? And I think as a community, as a world, we need to seeing clean air over LA is
It's
that's
amazing.
what's important to me. Right. Like,
Right.
this is so like beautiful. And they'll try to tell us that's not the important thing after all of this. But
Right.
I think as individuals we need to
We
remember.
need to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay, we're going to take a break.
okay.
Can we talk about that when we get back?
Yes,
So we'll
absolutely.
take a break. This is Rise and Thrive with Tailin Agoyo. We'll see you in a couple minutes.
Can I look at you without a candle?
I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. And even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. I have a mentor, Maria, and she convinced me to continue my education. Just never judges. She's a true role model. From the depths of my heart, I thank you, Maria, for being a friend and a beautiful person. No one receives a diploma alone, and I'm honored to share this moment with you. Thank you. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Candle, and that sad look that you bear when you think.
Hi, I'm back with Colleen Farwell, author and publisher of I Will Carry You children's book. This is Rise and Thrive, Indigenous Art, Culture, and Joyful Acts of Resistance. And right now, we want to talk about joy. We want to talk about this beautiful book and how it makes us feel. So I thought that, Colleen, if you were up for it, we could walk through the book together, and I can, and you can talk about, so we have listeners and we have viewers. So we can just go through and describe the pages that were, I know they're all special to you, but which ones really stood out to you and that you really took a lot of care on, because they had very significant meaning to you. So just let me know which page you want to start on, and we'll just
Well, we'll start with the cover because
okay.
I think this really just illustrates how Eleanor was able to just kind of capture the feeling that we wanted to convey in the book. You know, the natural elements, the butterflies, the leaves, the colors. You know, that she just captured everything, just really serene and beautiful. And mom and baby, the thoughtfulness there that's between the two of them. And of course, Akenav's dress, the butterfly dress, is just, you know, so. And then when you open up the first cover page, right, and we get Akenav's butterflies on the inside covers, that was just such a gorgeous
Here's
addition to this book. I just love this. This just makes
so for
and I'd love to
people
tell you this was my idea, but I think it was somebody else's, and I'm so happy.
it's that's
It's
how it works with collaborations, right? Everybody's inspired, and then it's
yeah,
magic.
and
But
then
this first page is like a chartreuse, and it has a design of Akenav's one of Akenav's famous prints. And if you go on akenav.com, you'll see all of his amazing work.
yes. And then I guess if we just want to kind of go through the book, the where mom and baby, where it says, "Little one, I will carry you so gently on my head," and she has that gorgeous Akenav dress again, and just the joy between mom and baby that Eleanor captured. This page just it really lifts me up. It really does. It's gorgeous. Love it.
It's beautiful. There's just so much love there. And I love how baby is kind of like mom's holding baby, but baby's kind of like starting to grow up and like pulling
Yeah.
away tiny bit, but there's just so much like laughter and sweetness and
Yes.
trust. It's beautiful. And she's wearing moccasins.
And
Baby's wearing these gorgeous little moccasins. Which is just such a special touch.
And then even if we just turn to the next page where, you know, Eleanor really captured like motherhood is like a constant flow. And the way she took her dress and just went from page to page, and you have the flowers and the butterflies and the ferns, and this is just gorgeous. I just love this page.
And can you talk about the words? The words themselves are they're not straight across. They're written they're dancing.
Right.
And the way the font is even a very important part of the book.
Yes, and we did this really with every other page. So you'll see the one page they're straight, and then the next page they're like dancing. And this just worked with this page so well. It was just the perfect complement. The way the words roll across it, it's just gorgeous. Love this page. And then of course our next page, we've got one of Chin's pieces on mom. The necklace, this is one of my favorite of his, the cubes. It's absolutely stunning. And we have Summer Peters' blanket. And then just all of the natural elements. It's just gorgeous. Gorgeous.
It's beautiful. And mom is holding baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's cradling baby, even though baby's just growing and waiting to come into the world. And then this next page was one that was so important to me because you're going to miss this as well. But first of all, the dragonflies. Love the natural elements, the ferns. But for me, this page looked different.
There were many iterations of this page, weren't there?
It was presented to me, and then it just struck me that I really wanted to give a nod to breastfeeding and breastfeeding moms. And not all moms do that. But you know, for Native women, it's always been very important. There's a lot of when you know your baby first feeds, that you give them so much of their immunity and their immune system and that boost and all of that. And you know, for Native people, we're really trying to get back to that because it was kind of forced on Native women to not do that. And so for me, just culturally, it just seemed just important just to give that nod. And it's beautiful.
It's beautifully illustrated. It's just gorgeous.
And if someone didn't tell you, oh, this is a nod to breastfeeding, I think a lot of people would just, you know, and that's fine with me. I don't mind that it just works. It's
yes.
Just beautiful. No matter how you interpret this page, it just works. And I love it. And then let me see, what would be, well, the doll page. Can we talk about the doll page? Um, Today you're getting bigger. I carry you on my hip. I hold you a little tighter when you begin to slip. It's kind of a nod back to the beginning of the book. And you have Chin's necklace, which you have to see this in real life if you go to his website. And could you spell that out for us?
It's chindesigns.com with a TCHIN.
Yeah, TCHIN.com. No, designs.com, right?
Chindesigns.com. Yeah. And we'll post all of this later.
And then the little crow doll. I grew up with my mom making them.
So
And they're just beautiful. And the elf teeth dress. And normally, we don't always put faces on the dolls. Some people do, some people don't. We put
so
them-
this was an adaptation of the
Yes.
dolls that you had when you were growing up.
Well, my mom did put
It's-
faces on her dolls.
She did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They were more for other people, so she put the faces on them, and the local market would like buy them and then resell them to mostly to non-native people. So yeah, she put the faces on them. And then again the Akhenav dress on mom for the school bus scene. But another thing that was very important to me is the page where baby, she's a teenager now, but she's very forlorn. And when you're even older and think that I don't understand. The shoes there, I love that we added that. But also, Mohawk, my children are Mohawk and they've grown up here on the Mohawk Reservation, and lacrosse is such an important part of their life. And Mohawks created lacrosse. And so to be able to give a nod to that and an acknowledgement, it was considered the creator's game and is today considered the creator's game.
Yes.
So to be able to add that element really meant a lot to me to give a nod to my kids in that.
Do you know that when I've read people comment about the book online, and I've heard and I talked to people about the book, that's one of the things that people always bring up.
Really?
Is it makes them feel so happy, because it's in touch. It's a nod to it, and it just it calls it out as something that is native, and a lot of non-native people don't know much about the origins of lacrosse and the significance, and it's spiritual. So yeah, but a lot of the native people that I've talked to and that I've read their reviews and stuff have really that stood out to them, in addition to other things. But yeah,
then that feels really good. When we were at the Penn Museum doing the reading there, there was a whole case in the museum,
right,
that was dedicated to lacrosse and the role that the Iroquois people gave in giving the game. And it was just it was beautiful, and I was like, that really moved me to be in that space and to see that. Yeah, definitely. That's really good to hear. And then Summer Peters, let's talk about the page with her blanket and the cover page with her blanket. Just beautiful. And for those of you who might be interested in looking at her work and exploring her work, she does dolls that are just my gosh. She started doing dolls that are just gorgeous, beautiful, and just they really move me. Her dolls are just beautiful.
Her dolls are adorable. They're beautiful, and yeah, we'd have to talk to her one day, because to hear her talk about, she wanted her dolls to be all shades like we are, and all sizes, different hair colors, and to really reflect who we are as Native people. And she's doing such a good job of it. And I've seen her post things about how little girls will get the doll and just feel so happy that they have a representation of what they look like. And yeah, she's doing good work out there.
Yeah, that's so empowering and good for her. Yeah, as she puts them out, they're all so different, but
they're all different.
They capture something though that's just so beautiful and joyful. And you talk about joy, and those dolls are just joyous, and they're like a celebration. Even though they're different, each one of them, there's something in it that is just joyful
Yeah.
and beautiful in every one of.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so happy. Yay
Yes.
for her.
Yes. There's so much amazing work going on in Native country. So
There.
any other pages that you want to talk about?
Oh, and then just of course the Chin's jewelry on the end pages. Mom
The
with the
locket?
butterfly, the locket.
Oh, which one were you talking about?
Oh, the page
There's so
before as
many.
well with the
Oh, okay.
my I got
Oh, the
bracelet.
bracelet.
I got that from my mom, and it is her favorite, and she wears it all the time.
It's a
Um,
bracelet of beads, and it has two of Chin's signature feathers on it. So mom in the book is wearing it, and it looks so beautiful. And then she has a butterfly on her finger.
and then once again, like the flow of motherhood, her hair, the organic
Yes.
nature of this page is just so beautiful. Um, and then the end where mom is, she's mom by herself, but she's always going to carry her baby in her heart. And the magic was just so captured. Eleanor did such a beautiful job, and I just love it. And then of course our very last page with a nod to all of our artists that contributed and signed on to be a part of this project.
It's beautiful. So what do you see for the future of the book? Now, because it published late last year and you had this momentum going and you're going to be in a lot. I mean, stores were interested, distribution was happening, and then you had a lot of um, personal appearances lined up. So once we get out of quarantine, what do you think? So we have 2 minutes left. Just tell me what you
We
see
are
for the future of your book.
we are just going to take over the world. No, but the really beauty of this book, not just the nod to motherhood, but just the timelessness of it. The way that I enjoy Dr. Seuss, Oh, the Places You'll Go, because you can give that to your baby when they're in kindergarten, when they graduate high school, when they get their first job, when they get married, the woman whose daughter was getting divorced. It's like all the
Mhm.
stages of mom and baby's life. And I think, that's what is the magic of this book, is the timelessness of it. The timelessness of the story, the timelessness of the illustrations, the inclusiveness. And so I can't wait, once the pandemic's over, to get back on the road with it, because it really it sells itself. It's really, really beautiful. And um, it's such an honor to be able to go out in the world with and I feel like I'm adding a little bit of beauty to the world.
It
You know,
absolutely is.
all the jobs that I've had and the things that I've had to sell, so to speak, this brings me joy. This is my joy. And
Yeah, it
I'm
does.
excited. And I've had so much positive feedback. There's a woman that I have to get in touch with whose friend owns the largest private bookstore in Chicago. She's like, you need to get here. So
Of
there's
course.
so much on the horizon.
Right.
I will carry you.
There's so much.
But we're
And
on hold for a reason.
but where it is available on Amazon, so you can still get it delivered to
Yes.
your house.
Yes.
And Mother's Day is coming up, and it's a perfect gift for Mother's Day. So if you're like not thinking you can't get out shopping, this is the perfect gift. So get onto Amazon. I will carry you, and visit our website. And Colleen, thank you for sharing this beautiful book with me today. It really made me feel good about today. And thank you for sharing it with the world. It's such a gift to the world. Like you said, it is. It truly is a beautiful gift that you've given the world. So thank you so much.